Hey guys, long time no see. Sorry I haven't done any videos for a while, just been out kind of busy really. I've been doing lots of postie bike days out on the XR125, taking people out on the green lanes around here. I've also been riding this, which is a 462 Himalayan. If anybody watched a video a month or so ago, a chap called Tom gave me this bike to sell to raise money for Richard Rowe, who was injured in the Alps on a trip this year. So I've got a little video to do with this, taking it for a road test just to see what difference the 462 kit makes to the original Himalayan. So I've got that to upload. I've also bought a Vogue 300 Rally. I bought my own 300 Rally. They did want to sell me the one, or did offer to sell me the one that I used over the summer for the 7,000 miles that I did on it, but I kind of felt that maybe I'll get a new one. So actually, if anybody wants to come down here to North Devon and ride a Vogue 300 Rally, either on its own or back-to-back with a Honda CRF 300 Rally or a Himalayan or a 390 KTM or a 310 GS, just let me know, because I'm starting to do those kind of days now that the main season's slowed down a little bit. Today's little video though, I just wanted to start by saying I've ordered a Triumph 400 Scrambler X. Quite by surprise really, but for me that bike struck a chord, mainly because of the price. I think I've been curious about it. Would it be any good? Were Triumph going to overcook the price? And then up in Scotland, back in September, I was doing a trip, and one of my customers was the head of finance for Triumph UK, and we were trying to push him on the price, and it was actually the day that they revealed the prices in the UK, and when he said it was going to start at 4,995, I don't think we could believe him really. So I've ordered the one at 5,699 for the Scrambler, which is a 19-inch front wheel, and again, that'll be on the fleet for people to ride down here, so hopefully getting that in January. But I think it's a really exciting time for this end of the market. There's so many bikes coming out and starting to emerge, whether it's the Triumph or the new Himalayan. We're starting to get stuff out of China, such as the CF Moto MT450, which looks to be a twin-cylindered 450 enduro adventure bike coming through. So yeah, lots of things, lots of elements of excitement at this lower end of the spectrum, which is good, because I've always said that an affordable adventure bike is often the best adventure bike, which is why I always got behind the original Himalayan, because when it came out at £4,000 in the UK, and it was so capable, I bought one, I was one of the first people to buy one, just out of curiosity really, but the fact that you got the centre stand, the rear racks, the front guards and everything else, and that it was capable on the road and off-road, okay, it's not got a lot of power, but it did those two attributes pretty quite well, actually, better than most people expected. For me, made it, as I quoted at the time, probably one of the best travel bikes of the last 10 years, simply for the fact that it enabled the average man, the average working class man, to go off on an adventure on a new bike that was fit for purpose. And I don't think we'd seen anything like that from any of the established brands for so long that we kind of forgot that actually all we really wanted was a cheap, affordable, functional, capable machine. And that's what this new Himalayan was. Why I've ordered the Triumph over and above the new Himalayan, I guess it comes down to price, and also just, if I was going to have a gripe about the new Himalayan, I think they've overcooked it all in this marketing. I've kind of got bored of it, prematurely bored of it. I think the product itself is going to be very good. I think it addresses so many of the criticisms of this one, be it power, quality, fit and finish and those things. I think it's a real step change for Royal Enfield. I think they'll actually push into the established mainstream motorcycling marks with this bike. I think this will really elevate them, and you can see it from the launch. The launch out in India. They've got all the mainstream press there. They've had a really big, glitzy, glamorous launch, which, to be honest, for bikes at this end of the market, manufacturers don't tend to do. So I think they're really trying to court the press, use this bike to push themselves up market a little bit, and I think it will work, because from what I can see of the bike, it looks as though it's going to be a league ahead in many ways than something like this or anything they've built before. So it's not like that I'm not looking forward to the product, but I think it's quite interesting, isn't it? I've always overlooked Triumph because I've always thought that they were a marketing brand first and a motorcycling manufacturer second. It was all about image, the manifestation, the creation, the perpetuation of an image, and it was all marketing driven. And I didn't quite get that. I don't quite like that side of things. When the Royal Enfield came out, there was no hype, there was no marketing. It was just like, there's a bike, there's a price, go ahead and buy it. And I like that. I guess I'm a simple person. And I think what Triumph have done with this 400 Scrambler is actually do exactly the same thing. There was not a lot of fanfare. Yes, there was a bit of a rumour that it was coming out, that it was revealed, and then people rode it, and there was a price given, and you could order it, and then you could collect it in December, January, whenever. I like that. It's kind of a meat and potato delivery of a new motorcycle. I think what I've not liked about this Himalayan is that they've gone down this avenue of excessive marketing. So we've had sort of teaser shots, spy shots. We've had tantalising glimmers of what it might look like, what it might be. Will it be a 650? Will it be a 450? And then we've had itchy boots riding it, and then we've had journalists riding it, but they've been embargoed for so long. We've had a restricted access to the specs. We don't know what it's going to cost. And it's kind of been such a long drip feed. For me, it's kind of lost me as a consumer. And if I'm honest, I think it's almost offended me as a consumer, because I'm a big, passionate advocate of the Royal Enfield brand. But they're treating us like treating me. I feel like they're treating us as a bit of a muppet. Here's a glimmer, but you can't have the potato. Here's a glimmer, you can't have the potato. And it's just like, no guys, tell us what the bike's going to be, tell us when it's going to be out, and tell us how much it's going to cost. And then I'll buy it. And I think the bike would stand up on its own two tyres in this regard, because the bike looks so capable. But the whole flim-flam around this marketing and the launching and the delayed specs and the embargoes, as a consumer, it's lost me. And I make videos, I do tours. I'm taking groups to Iceland next year. I'm taking groups to America next year. I'm going to use a Triumph, I think, because I don't really like the way that Royal Enfield's launched this bike. It's really like just drawing it out, and it's frustrated me. So it's a bit of a whinge. It's kind of a bit of a first world problem kind of whinge, but I like a meat and potato machine, and I think that's what Triumph has given us with this 400X. It might not be as good as the Himalayan. I don't think it actually will be. I don't think it's going to be as versatile, as durable, as well tested, as capable in the dirt. But they've given it us, and they've told us how much it's going to be. And I think with 40 horsepower, I think it's going to be perfectly fast enough. I'm hoping it's going to be like a softer, more mellowed version of the KTM 390 Adventure. A bike I really like, and I like the lightness of that bike. I think what will be interesting to find out with this new 452 is how it carries its weight. I think on paper, the two bikes, this one and the new one, are very similarly matched, about 195, 196. The difference is, and actually when I look down the back of this bike, I can see the difference straight away. The old Himalayan, the weight's at the bottom, the engine is wide, it's low down, so its mass is low down, and it almost triangles, pyramids to a peak. The tank's it's not a narrow tank, but it's not a wide tank. So it's almost peaks in like that. It means that the weight's nice and low. It means that actually, it's not a heavy bike. It's 200 kilos nearly, but that's not a heavy bike. I can lift that one-handed, sat down off the stand like that, easy as anything. But it's so well balanced, beautifully balanced bike, and that's why it works. In ripping this round a field on a farm, absolutely wonderful, because it's so well balanced. Anybody with so limited skill could ride that in those conditions and get away with it. The difference with the new Himalayan, when you look at it, and when you look at some of the press photos, is instead of the pyramid being like that, the pyramid's like that. So the engine's quite now slim, sits taller, and it actually flares out to a nice wide fat tank with 17 litres. But it's inverted the triangle, which potentially means it's going to be top heavy. And a top heavy bike means it carries its weight worse than a bike that carries its weight low. So it'll be interesting for those people who get to ride it first, what their immediate impressions of when they lift it off a stand. How does it feel? Does it feel lighter? Does it feel heavier? Will that be relevant? Who knows? I think certainly on the open road, it's going to be a different beast to this one. I think it's going to perform really well. I think for the trips I've done this year down to Stella Alpina, probably Morocco, Iceland, I actually think it's going to be a fantastic, amazing bike. And actually, looking at what they've done with it, I think pure tribute to the engineers who've designed the bike. I think what we're going to see from the new Himalayan is a revelation, really. It's not going to suit everyone, and I think the price is going to frustrate some, because I think everyone's still expecting it to be a cheap budget bike, but the Royal Enfield hasn't built a cheap budget bike. They've built a unicorn giant killer, I would say. I mean, it offers to me so much more than the CRFs, than the KTMs, than the BMWs. It deserves a bigger price than a budget bike. So I think expect some disappointments for anybody expecting it to be a cheap bike, because they've not built a cheap bike, and neither should they charge a cheap price for a good bike. But did I order one? No. Will I get one? Probably, because I'd like to have one down at the fleet for people to ride back to back against Triumph. But as a consumer, acting on impulse, which is what I've done, I bought a Triumph, which historically goes against every grain of my motorcycle being as possible, because I've never had any interest in Triumph. and have been purely infatuated with the Royal Enfield, the Himalayan, since it came out. I love the standard one. I love it, and I loved the image, and it was almost a rebellious purchase by an Himalayan because nobody expected you to buy a Himalayan because everyone expected it to be crap. This new one, and it's interesting, isn't it? The importance of expectation as to how you measure a motorcycle or life, or anything in life, to be honest. The expectations of this bike were so low, all it could do was impress. The expectations of the new one are so high now because they've spent so long building it up, like the second coming of Jesus Christ, that it can never surprise anybody beyond the point at which we're already supposed to be impressed. So, I don't know. I think it's a really interesting time for this end of the market. But I shall look forward to getting this Triumph and doing some first ride reviews. Sorry about the cough. Sorry about the nasal voice. Not been feeling very well, to be honest. And for anybody who doesn't speak English as their first language, I'm sorry you can't understand me, but this is how I talk. It's a Middle England accent from Nottingham. We talk funny up there. Sorry about that. Right, cheers.